Oh my goodness, what's happened here? We've got chopped up lower control arms. Oh my goodness, all these bits and pieces. So changing lower control arms isn't always as easy as you had planned. Well, I suppose the good news is at least the arms are out, but the problem is it's very late in the day. What time did this job get started? 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's now 8 o'clock at night. Oh my goodness. Wow, look at that. 12-hour shift, and there must have been a lot of complications on this one. Might be worth hanging around watching this video in case this happens to you. This is the worst Prado suspension and lower control arm job we've ever had. Created quite a bit of complications. This is certainly one that's seized. People talk about these things being seized and they couldn't do a wheel alignment. Well, this is the definition of seized right here. So at the end of the day, it all comes out, but you got to cut it. And there's different ways to do it, whatever. And you know, you do a little bit of damage to the vehicle. You can straighten it all out later. Give it a coat of paint if you want. So just have a good look at that. Let's have a look at the components and what's gone wrong here and explain what can happen so that, you know, maybe you know how to deal with it in case it does happen to you. All right, let's talk business. Okay, lower control arms from a 150 Prado. We've changed quite a few of these. Usually things go pretty straightforward, but not always. So for not always, what I've had before personally is these are off the front part of the lower control arm. And if you watched our video, if I drop these out, my plan is to drop out one of my videos where the customer was told that these were seized and they weren't. We checked it out the next day. It's all in the video. So I'm going to put that video out one day and I'll put this one out the next, because it's kind of like, that's one where someone said it was seized. This one we had no idea. It was just to change lower control arm because the bushes are flogged. Change the suspension because obviously it's flogged, and big complications there as well. Look at that. That is the bottom part of the bush of the rear shock. It wouldn't come off the diff either. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, so at the end of the day, what's happened here? Well, let's try and piece this puzzle back together again. So these bolts, they're out of the front of the control arms, which is the ones that got cut off. Yeah, that's a good way to piece the puzzle back together. That's it. All right, so the thing is, when this happens, and this is worst case scenario, this is the worst we've ever had by far. So for a long time, before you destroy everything, you're spraying and you're hammering and you're twisting and you're spraying and you're letting it soak. So it's a big time waster of a job, because of course you don't want to just go straight for worst case scenario where you're cutting and you're risking damaging the vehicle as well. It's all, you know, these are all jammed in between the chassis, right? And it's all a couple of mil thick, that sort of thing. You got to be really careful with saws and grinders and whatever tools you're going to use. So for a long time you persist, you think it's got to come loose, something's got to happen here. Anyway, managed to save the front bolt, so that's pretty good. Not so good for the rear bolts. So the bolts that went in the, so let's get back to the front first. So there's the front one, and you can see what's left of the bolt. It's still right in the middle there. It's been absolutely, just for fun, should we set that in a vise and get a big hammer and try and smack it? I know it's a waste of time. Let's not waste our time. We've already done that, right?
It's not going to move.
Let's have a look at that one. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, like, you know, if they were going to move, then it wouldn't have been a matter of cutting them out in the first place. Okay, so anyway, all these pieces, they've been sprayed, soaked, smashed with timber, with hammers, with everything you can think of, and it actually wasn't going anywhere, which is why, you know, lots of things had to be cut out. So yeah, that one at the front there, whole arm had to be cut off to access, to cut the bolt. Have I got it right? No, that's the back of the arm. Yeah, I've got it all around the wrong way. So that is the rear part of the arm with the bolt. So haven't had that before. I've had bolts that have been, I don't know, pretty dirty, bit rusty, but we got them free. But I haven't actually had a bolt seized solid. So this is a new thing. So we're going to start, because until now, we've only kept, you know, these in stock as demonstrated in the other video, because that's the only parts I've actually had seized. So I'm sure there's other people that have had them seized. Let us know in the comments. But I'm going to start keeping those bolts in stock as well, because at the moment, well, the job's not even really done, is it? Like, it's only, so in a whole day, we've got the front arms out. Yeah, the front arms are out. The front struts are in, as you saw. The rear springs, the standard suspension's finally out, you know, after more drama of this tube being stuck on the diff, and you don't want to destroy it. Once again, it's not the chassis, but it's the diff. So you've got to take the time to try and free these things up, but in the end, bit by bit, you've got to cut away the components and get them off. It's just very time consuming. So obviously it didn't really take 5 hours. It's just wasted a whole day, whichever way you want to look at it. You know, between being buggered, taking a break from hammering or cutting or trying to brainstorm and figure out ways to get it out without wrecking the car, when you've got so many components, front and rear, both sides seized. And then obviously shock absorbers, when you go, you know what, they're finally out, and it's, what time was it when they were out? What was it, 3, 4 o'clock or something? 4 o'clock?
These were 3:15.
Yeah, there you go.
And this one, 5 o'clock.
And then you go, oh, look, I'll just do the suspension, and then all we've got to do is put these new arms in, that'll be easy, won't it, once we get the bolts? And then you can't even get the suspension out. What a drama. Anyway, so front's done. Waiting for the arms to go in, because, you know, you've got the bolts, that's good, those bolts. We've got those replacement things that I keep in stock. But we're just waiting on those bolts that go on the rear, the ones, you know, from the middle of that, okay? Which, luckily, they were in Toyota in Melbourne. We should have those in the morning, but...
These ones, but the wrong.
Yeah, they're off the 120. They're different, aren't they? Yeah, the old spares, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, they sort of do to hold the car together, but you're not going to have the best wheel on, but yeah, a bit rattly around. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, look, at the end of the day, my standard price, even back in the day, years ago, I was always quoting 200 to 500 as your general guide, but it's not fixed to 500. And when everything goes smoothly, a couple $100 is what it takes to change these arms. When everything goes smoothly, like the previous video. But, you know, when you got to start cutting things out, that's where it was sort of, you know, 3, 4, 500, depending how many components, how much cutting, how much time you spend first trying to free it up before you cut it, and how many bits and pieces you got to replace. But when it goes next level and you got to cut these ones, and you got to cut the arm to get access to be able to do that, it's not even the 2 to 500. That's old prices. I mean, 200 okay if everything goes smooth because we're good, but you know, I mean, 500, 600, 700, 800, $1,000. I mean, you know, for $1,000, we don't want to do this. You know, it's not worth it. So it's a bit of a, you know what? We don't even want to do it for $1,000. So how do we work this out? I mean, so the customer's going to be going, oh, well, it is what it is, no dramas. But they're not really going to be excited about spending $1,000 getting something like this done. But we're not excited about doing it for $1,000, because if somebody brought this to me and said, oh, this is going to be drama, I go, mate, I want a couple of grand, mate. I'm going to waste a day doing this, you know what I mean? So I've got to mentally prepare myself for this. But it's some fairly high tensile steel they've used. It's not going to be El Cheapo stuff. That's probably why it's difficult to cut through. And, you know, you got to cut each side as well. That one might have got snapped off, did it, after you got it? You smacked that? Did you big smacking. Yeah, but look, just look at the rust, mate.
Smack it out.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, try anything. Yeah. Went crazy on it. I can see that, you know, it's just an absolute headache. So look, if you do use your vehicle in areas, you know, mud, let's just say mud and bog holes and outback trips and day trips, and you've really got to give it a good wash. I think that's going to help prevent this sort of thing. When it's up on the hoist getting inspections and stuff, it's probably a good idea to spray some CRC or WD-40 or whatever sort of products like that to help keep products, components like this in better condition, because it's just going to cost you money. You know the old saying, mud equals money? Well, this is one of those things, mud equals money, right? So it really just comes down to vehicle use combined with vehicle maintenance. The maintenance program has got to be equal to or better than the vehicle use. Okay, this is a case of the vehicle's been well used, and that's great, but the maintenance isn't quite, and I'm not saying it hasn't been serviced, hasn't had an oil change. the maintenance on these components, because when you use it like that, these components, you know, my 120, it's been everywhere. It's been through there, but it gets cleaned, it gets washed, it gets, you know, gets worked on. You've got to go and work on the vehicle. You've got to pull things apart, clean things, lubricate things. You've got to do, that's what I mean when I say maintenance. So just beware. This is where it could go. It could go pear-shaped. Hey, everyone, have a look how thick that steel is. It's about 5 mil thick, isn't it? Those lower control arms. I mean, it's a bit thinner down here. It's doubled over, so you got the top and the bottom section, but this section over up this side here, really thick, man. That's just ridiculous. Okay, so measured up at about 6 mil for the thickness. Massive amount of steel there, so they're definitely solid control arms. I don't know how thick those ones are on the 200 series, because they're even more heaps chunkier than what these arms are. So anyway, just beware, right? It's just a video to say beware, beware, beware. Everything usually goes to plan, but sometimes this is the sort of thing that can happen. And if it happens, I'm not saying that we charge 12 hours at $200 an hour, whatever your workshop rate is. That's $2.5 grand, mate. That's out of control. What I'm saying is, looking at this job, it's $1,000 job. Yeah, unfortunately, worst of the worst. I mean, you can make it quicker and cheaper by going, oh, look, that weighs more than 10 minutes. If they don't come out, just smash it. Just start cutting, you know, and then things will happen quicker, because that's what I said, you persist for what, half an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. You try and persist, you know, because this doesn't happen all the time. This is, you know, this is a bit special, this one right here. But time's time, so it's the way the job can end up, so beware. And if you're doing your vehicle maintenance, just having a bit of a chit chat here. If you're doing your vehicle maintenance, I've said it before, this situation is what wrecks lower control on bushes as well, because people go to do wheel alignments, and maybe that's why these ones were pretty wrecked. That's why they were getting replaced with. And I can't remember. We inspected this one. What did we say? I said they were rubbish. Got to replace them. Yeah. So were they rubbish because they were rubbish, or were they rubbish because somebody's done a wheel alignment? Oh, it's making me tired. And they've gone to turn these things, and it's twisted the bush because it's all seized up. And that's what's destroyed them, perhaps, you know? Who knows? Because we don't know really the history of what it's going to be, but...
Did have all the they had marking before.
So they already... Oh, really?
Yeah, they were already
right,
marked.
so they're already marked. Yes, good point, that's right, yeah. So...
I rubbed it off. His was white, mine's yellow now.
Right, okay, so there was marks there. So, look, people have worked on it before. Whatever's happened, you get that. It doesn't matter. What am I trying to say? Do your maintenance. So, if you're going to go for a wheel alignment, first thing you need to do is loosen off these bolts. And just a reminder, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm getting old.
This mark.
Yeah, for sure. Gotcha, yeah. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, we can see. It already had marks on it, see? Our yellow mark. The grey, whitey looking mark. It's sort of grey colour anyway. Right, but what you need to do is, see these bolts at the front. Correct me if I'm wrong, the bolts come out from the front, don't they, yeah?
Yep.
So you loosen the bolt from the front, that's that one right there. So you loosen that, you don't have to take it right out, because then if you put your spanner on the adjuster, one of these, what size is it again? 20 what? So everyone knows. 22, 24. I think. 24? Sure.
Yeah, this one's 22.
So there's some 22s and some, there's two different sizes, that's for sure. I think the 120 is different as well, yeah? So 22, 20, you should know, man, you've been swinging off them all day, yeah?
I'm used to...
It's bigger, yeah, it's something bigger, yeah. What is it, 27 or something? It rings a bell. 27, 30, whatever it is anyway. Sorry, we don't know, it's too late, but I don't remember, and you know what, it's one of those, you saw the time. We're just putting in the effort to just show you what can happen and have a discussion about it. Point is, loosen those bolts, turn it, see if it turns. If it doesn't turn, then you're going to need to get some spray. You need to get things moving. You need to take the bolts out. You need to take these before they've been replaced out, clean them up, put some spray, put some grease, put some rust prevention, even repaint the bloody things and put them out to dry in the oven if you want, before you put some grease or put them in dry locks or whatever you're going to do. But you've got to do the maintenance, otherwise you end up in a situation like this. You need to do that before you do a wheel alignment. And if you're worried about having a $1,000 bill from Anthony 4x4 Diesel or any of the workshop partners, then probably what you need to do is watch all the videos so you don't miss stuff like this. Because you know, how many people are watching this video and watching it this far through? I'm going to go, only a few thousand. There's not that many smart people, right? So congratulations if you're still with us. Put it in the comments because it's going to be all the usual names. We know who it's going to be. Anyway, it's an ongoing problem. So many people that don't watch the videos. They watched enough to find me, but not enough to impress me that you know how things work, what's going on. I'm just like thinking to myself, all these people, what, you know, you've seen 3 videos, you've seen 20 videos, whatever you've seen. And I'm just going, oh, so I've got to repeat all this crap all over again because they didn't watch a video. I haven't got time. I'm going to retire even more than I was before. Anyway, I'm over repeating myself. We're doing a chit chat now. We're not going to miss anything. We're going to sit here. We have to sit here. We'll sit here for another hour or 2 if we need to. Do you get it? Do the maintenance, take it off, clean it, lubricate it, make sure it works, then take it. So if you don't want a $1,000 bill, then you get under the car, you loosen the bolts, you see what's going to happen, you cut them out, and if you think that it's too hard to get out and you'd rather sell the vehicle than get the job done, well, then you sell the vehicle, right? But if you sell the vehicle, you need to buy, what are you going to do? So you're going to sell your old Prado for 20 grand, buy a new one for 80 plus all the extras, 120. You reckon, what's that, an extra 100 grand on top? So 100 grand's better than $1,000 on this? Anyway, look, work it out however you work it out, people. I'm just putting it out there so you can have a think about it. And that's it, I reckon. What else do we need to add, man? Is that about it?
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, look, even this, probably take your shockers out. Take your suspension out every now and then, maybe. If you're going to leave it in there for years and years and years, take it out. That's what I do. I take mine out, you know, Yeah, it's got to be a pastime. If you want to complain about the cost of maintaining your four-wheel drive, then you've got to do it yourself and save money, which is why I do the videos, right? So there's 3 things you've got to do. There's 4 things, okay? First one is, what I was going to say, you need to either, what's the word? So if you don't like it, you need to leave it behind, sell it, move on, or pay the money. So you need to leave it, or you need to change it. You need to change your situation. Maybe don't go off-road. Or you can accept it for what it is and you pay the money or you fix it up yourself. But whatever you do, make your decision out of those 3. And then you embrace it and you get on with it and you get your car fixed up. And, you know, you got another 10, 15, 20 years out of these components. Well, you know, depends how well you look after them. If you have suspension more regularly replaced, it stops the bouncing and the flexing of the bushes, and your bushes might just last forever. I've seen some high K ones recently where the bushes were in really good condition. So I really believe it's a lot to do with suspension, how the vehicle is being driven, on how these bushes here actually, how long they're going to last. So that's enough chit chat, whatever. I've waffled long enough, mate, whatever. What do you recommend? Anything else?
Yeah, that's it. Time for dinner, mate.
Looking forward to doing another one of these, yeah?
Not for a long, long time.
That's it. So look, people, lower control arm, sometimes it's straightforward, sometimes it's fun. This is worst case scenario. And, you know, we like it with a bit of challenge every now and then, but sometimes, you know, it's better if it gets a little bit worse slowly, not goes from pretty smooth sailing to, boof, this is heavy duty. This one, it's really bad, eh? So, anyway, unfortunately, he didn't get his vehicle back as per the plan. The car's stuck on the hoist. You know, we're waiting on parts, so it throws a big spanner in the works. We don't like it any more than anyone else, but time's money. That's the job. So them's the breaks, and I guess we'll catch on the next video. Hope you learnt something. Hope you enjoyed the chit chat. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn the bell on, and there won't be any more videos on lower control arms for a while because these ones made us sick. We're not going to book any jobs into any of the Prado hospitals. Actually, maybe we'll send one over to Dylan, eh? Anybody, southeastern suburbs, if you want lower control arms replaced from now on. All right, catch you on the next video. See ya. A couple other tips while we're at it. Put these bolts in the correct way. On the Prados, the bolt comes in from the back facing forward, the nut's on the front. And on the Hilux, it's the opposite. That's the bottom of the front coilover or strut or shocker, whatever you want to call it.